I said go live. Hopefully that worked. I know there's at least a couple of people here. I see it says 4 people are waiting. Just gonna see if that's true. Um, oh, I got a notification on my own phone about it. So I think that does mean that people are coming in. I think I've got my chat set up. All right. So, can you hear me okay? I have a space heater fan on, so I know that sometimes makes the audio a little bit fuzzy. But I'm clicking in to see if I need to put the sound up on my microphone. It looks like it's where I left it last time, so I think it probably sounds all right. All right. Welcome. Hello. Welcome in, everybody. Perfect. Hello. Hi, Sarah. Shouldn't be listening to this in math class right now. We're gonna talk about the 5 feet apart marketing fiasco. I was looking into this because Sad Fox, who helped me with some of the research for my most recent Baldoni Baloney video, pointed me in this direction, and then I also saw a really fantastic Reddit thread about it. So what I want to do is I want to look at some stuff. But I do have this Reddit thread. This is also going to be, the link is too long. I'm gonna put together all of the tabs that I already have open because I have a bunch open. I was going to be putting them in the chat as I was going, but apparently the link is too long. So I guess what I'm going to do is edit the description and put the link for this first video in the description. You might have to refresh in order to get it. But this is the link to a Reddit post that came out that I was like, everyone's gonna think I'm only sourcing video ideas from the Reddit, which is not like I do get some ideas from the Reddit. But I was looking into this, and then that Reddit post like completely blew out all the stuff I was looking at. They had looked into way more in depth. So I'm just going to put some of the links that we'll be looking at together into the description. I probably could have done that earlier. Also, very big chance nobody even cares, but in case you do, and in case it's helpful to read along, I just put like the first 4 in there. Okay. Let me take another look at chats. All right, welcome. Oh yeah, I did. It is St. Patrick's Day. Hello, welcome. Happy St. Patrick's Day to anybody. Listening while I clean up my apartment. It's like body doubling. Amazing, fantastic. I love listening to YouTube videos and live streams and stuff while I get things done. And then hopefully today I'll be getting things done via doing a live stream. I knew that I needed to kind of lock in, and I figured everybody else here is pretty much as interested in all of this as I am. So what I had been tipped off to via when Sad Fox was helping me was even just in the Wikipedia page for 5 feet apart, it mentions that there was controversy around the marketing. And there's also a lot of other sources on this, but I want to move myself over into my little attic, and we can start there. I have to make myself so tiny to fit in this little box. Like you either can't see my shirt or you can't make my face out. Okay. Yeah. All right. We got this. I'm weirdly cropped on this one. Do I just zoom out a little bit? Would that be helpful? Can you read it better? Oh, that's a little too far out. Okay. I think that's fine. Okay, so 5 Feet Apart is a Wayfarer movie that Justin Baldoni directed. It was actually his directorial debut. This is the movie that, as we've talked about in the most recent Baloney Baldoni update one, and in live streams before that, this is the one that he was sued about via Travis Flores, who claims to have given his script to somebody who later consulted on 5 Feet Apart, and then there were a bunch of differences. There were a bunch of similarities. 5 Feet Apart was novelized, but it was novelized after it was already being turned into a movie, which, like, kind of tinfoil hat, but also that is a really good way to cover your tracks if you're kind of stealing someone's ideas. Travis Flores' script was called 3 Feet Distance, 5 Feet Apart, 5 Feet Apart. Obviously, they're both, like, going on the concept of social distancing for the title. Haley Lou Richardson and Cole Sprouse play 2 young patients with cystic fibrosis who try to have a relationship despite being forced to stay 6 feet apart from each other, even though it's called 5 Feet Apart. The film was released in the United States on March 15th, 2019 by CBS via Lionsgate. It received mixed reviews from critics and grossed $92 million worldwide. And I'm going to go down into critical response and response from the cystic fibrosis community. Critical response here. On the review aggregator website Rotten Tomatoes, film holds an approval rating of 52%, blah, blah, blah. Website's critical consensus reads, elevated considerably by Haley Lou Richardson's performance, but bogged down by cliches. 5 Feet Apart doesn't tug at the heartstrings quite as deftly as it should. Even Richardson and Sprouse can't fully overcome the clumsy mawkishness around them. Responses from the cystic fibrosis community were mixed. The Cystic Fibrosis Foundation welcomed the opportunity to raise awareness about the struggle many patients experience with the disease, while others found fault with the film's depiction of medically dangerous behavior. Others voiced concern about a terminal illness being romanticized and trivialized as a Hollywood teen romance plot device. One doctor from Johns Hopkins All Children's Hospital voiced their concern by stating the movie had false premises on the 6-foot rule to begin with. The doctor shared that the 6-foot rule was only accurate when outdoors. They continued to share that when indoors, the 6-foot rule would be ineffective due to the fact that hospitals have one AC system, spreading the bacteria in a closed system. According to Healthy Balance by the University of Virginia, other myths about cystic fibrosis are exposed during the film. It is portrayed that cystic fibrosis is contagious by cough, when in fact it is not. I'm sorry, that is like a huge fucking discrepancy about something that you are trying to make a little movie about, to act like something is contagious by cough when it's not. Like, I genuinely cannot believe that. Like, who was he talking to that nobody was like, hey, actually, you can't catch that via cough, like, it's not contagious like that. Like, that feels so offensive to me, and there are, like, other things that are very offensive that happened during this marketing. But, like, to want to make a movie about an illness and not understand how people get the illness, this is your king? This is your advocate feminist good boy? Like, what the fuck? That's like if you went to go see The Fault in Our Stars and then Hazel and Augustus were like, and also we need to be careful so that we don't catch cancer from each other. Like, what? That's the first thing that was on the Wikipedia about 5 Feet Apart, where I was like, holy shit. And it does, I think, get, I was gonna say worse, but also this is really bad. But it does get, I think, a little bit even more ridiculous. Yeah. It's a bizarre thing to get wrong. Idiotic, lazy, and pathetic. I agree, Jay. Yeah. Hi, Justine. He is so clumsy. He is. Yeah. I get mad when diabetes is portrayed wrongly in most movies. I have to imagine people with this condition were fuming. They do seem to have been absolutely fuming, and rightfully so, I think. Give us nothing, King. Yeah. His pattern of being so obsessed with the aesthetic but never going any deeper. Exactly. Yeah. Justin thinks you can spread cooties on a hospital ward. So, okay, yeah, it is portrayed that cystic fibrosis is contagious by cough when in fact it is not. As well, the film shows the 2 love-struck teens with oxygen tanks when that is not the case for everyone with cystic fibrosis. Cystic fibrosis can be diagnosed as unnoticeable. The film was promoted using Instagram. And this is where we really get into what I'm saying is, like, really bad. The film was promoted using Instagram, where the studio paid influencers to post about hardships involving love and physical distance. Many of the posts discussed family members who lived far away. The promotion was perceived as tone-deaf and trivializing a fatal disease. After the ensuing backlash, the campaign was pulled and the studio apologized. User meow meow, where are you? I feel like we're definitely summoning meow meow. I put the kittens in the background. Yeah, he really did. He wanted to be The Fault in Our Stars, and then this was a precursor to what he was trying to do by adapting It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. Like, oh my god. Even if I had a condition, I would still research it. I can't imagine getting basic facts wrong. Right. Yeah. In my memory, this was one of many lazily written movies desperate for The Fault in Our Stars as nachos. Yeah, I think that's this whole See Also thing, too. Everything, Midnight Sun, not the Twilight one, but the one with Bella Thorne in it. Fault in Our Stars, Keith? I don't think I heard about Keith. A Walk to Remember. Oh my god, I was so into A Walk to Remember, though. I saw A Walk to Remember when I was young, and I fell in love with Mandy Moore, and I've never gotten over it. So for as much as I'm saying that 5 Feet Apart sucks, A Walk to Remember was extremely my shit. Also, How to Deal. If anybody saw Mandy Moore in How to Deal, oh my god, that scene, and her I think it's her stepmom is like, you should just let your hair grow and grow and grow, and then it like smash cut to her cutting her hair off. I was obsessed. I love Mandy Moore so much. I have a friend who has a partner who also has had like a lifelong thing for Mandy Moore, and I think it's a very funny thing to have in common with one of my friend's husbands. Me and Earl and the Dying Girl. I don't know very much about that, but I also would have slotted that in the movies that would have made me think of The Fault in Our Stars space. The Space Between Us. American romantic science fiction. Oh, like space. Okay. Yeah, there's a lot of, there's like medical thrillers on here as well. Yeah, and then Me Before You. Fucking Sam Claflin. That man loves to take a role he probably shouldn't take, huh? Okay, so there's lots of links down in here too, but I have some already. Oh my god. Oh my god. Look at this. And they say Wikipedia is not a source. Deadline. CBS Films buys untitled Justin Baldoni pitch in vain of The Fault in Our Stars. It was literally it was optioned because it wanted John Green's nachos. That is where it came from. That's wild. I need to adjust this screen. Look at that. That's nuts. I'm sorry. I remember Caleb Joseph made a video about The Fault in Our Star knockoff movies. Oh, that sounds like fun. I'll have to check that out. Ophi getting sidetracked by lesbian crushes of the 2000s is so on point for this channel. Loved How to Deal growing up. Me too. I used to read all of the what was that author? That was Sarah Dessen, I think. I used to read everything Sarah Dessen, everything Meg Cabot that I could find. Yeah. I don't know why, but when I heard Mandy Moore, he sucks. Fault Stars Mania. Baldoni really nails that dead behind the eyes smile, huh? Yeah, he's scary. I'm sorry. Imagine this man walks into your trailer while you're breastfeeding. And then he says, well, you told me to come on in one time, so I was invited. Is this your king? Okay. CBS Films has just closed on a pitch deal from writers Mickey Daughtry, maybe that's Mikey, Mickey Daughtry and Tobias Iacnes for a project that Justin Baldoni, Jane the Virgin, is attached to direct and produce through his Wayfarer production company. The YA story, in the vein of The Fault in Our Stars, is a tear-jerking romancer about two teens with life-threatening illnesses who meet in a hospital and fall in love, despite the fact that their fragile health makes them an imminent danger to each other. The story is about love against all odds. Baldoni will make his feature film directorial debut on either this project or Clouds at Warner Brothers. Daughtry and Iacnes are the writing team behind The Children at New Line, which Atomic Monster and Emil Gladstone are producing. Baldoni is repped by the Gotham Group. Yeah, so not a lot of information here. Peter Sanderson, go Justin! Go Wayfarer! Anonymous, so it is Fault in Our Stars? Joe, shh, they don't want the author to sue them. That's funny. That's very funny. John Green does not deserve to be tangled in all of this, I agree. Dill Pickle Nugget, thank you. Glad I finally caught you live. We'll be lurking while eating. Appreciate what you do. Thank you very much. I like your name. Yeah, come into a different trailer. Ex-Patriarch had a whole thing about she invited him to her hair and makeup trailer, not her personal trailer. That's a good point. Yeah, you're right. He literally said, I'll meet you in HM, because I remember being like, oh, hair and makeup. Yeah, oh my god. I hate this guy. I hate this guy so much. John Green should do the funniest thing ever and sue. Sunny, welcome. Hello. Hallmark Channel, Fault in Our Stars. Baha'i Fault in Our Stars. Okay, well, that was a really great find from Wikipedia, so let's see what else is on Wikipedia. Yeah, so they had Cole Sprouse starring, and they also, I didn't know this because I've never seen this movie, but Sad Fox told me that Rico from Hannah Montana is also in the movie. So, like, why was he casting from the Disney Channel is kind of my question. I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter, but it's kind of strange. Also, as far as I know, Cole Sprouse is a piece of shit, but I don't think that was publicly enough known yet that we can really hold that against Baldoni, but it is kind of an interesting, like, dudes of a specific personality type, right? Because I don't know if everybody else remembers Cole Sprouse sitting around smoking a cigarette inside and being like, yeah, me and my exes just did a lot of damage to each other, and all of my exes at least emotionally cheated on me, if not physically. I hate that guy. Coming in here. Maybe they bonded over being terrible. Yeah. It was Cole. Cole was the one who did the social experiment. Dylan, as far as I know, is fine. I think he just had longer hair. Like, I think he kept his hair longer for longer, I mean. And that was, for the most part, how I would distinguish them, was that Dylan still had long hair even after Cole cut his. But then now it's just that I think Dylan is like making like mead. I'm pretty sure Dylan Sprouse makes mead, and that is his current route now, which I find very preferable compared to Cole. Like mead, like MEAD, like the drink. That's the last thing I've seen about Dylan Sprouse. I'd like to keep it that way. Yeah, Moses Arias joins Cole Sprouse in romantic drama 5 Feet Apart. That makes it sound like they were supposed to be dating each other, even though they weren't. Now casting child actors wanted to portray patients in 5 Feet Apart, starring Cole Sprouse. Okay, so, my stuff is so zoomed in, I'm very sorry. I gotta adjust. Cystic fibrosis advocates are worried about the upcoming film 5 Feet Apart. They literally did in a hot tub, because they're not gay. This is too small for me to read. Ooh, that's gonna be too big again. How does this look? Okay, that's fine. Okay, an upcoming romantic drama about two young people with cystic fibrosis is angering some in the community. Though the film aims to raise awareness of the life-shortening genetic disease, a number of advocates say it could do more harm than good. Directorial debut of Jane the Virgin actor Justin Baldoni stars them. They are falling in love but aren't allowed physical contact with each other due to their disease. The film's title comes from the 6-foot rule, a guideline set by the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation that says that two patients must be kept at a minimum of 6 feet, 2 meters apart, to minimize the risk of cross-infection. About 70,000 people worldwide have cystic fibrosis, which is usually diagnosed at a young age. A progressive genetic disorder with no known cure, it causes constant lung infections and difficulty breathing. The life expectancy is about 40 years. 5 Feet Apart consulted with Claire's Place Foundation, a cystic fibrosis advocacy group named in honor of the late Claire Wineland, a patient and well-known advocate who had worked with the film's actors on creating a realistic portrayal of the disorder before she died in September. Still, other advocates say the trailer is worrying. The trailer shows the main characters touching each other's medications and walking together with no masks. Julia Ray, a cystic fibrosis patient and advocate, wrote on her blog, "No responsible doctor or nurse would allow or promote this." Ray, who also called the film a dangerous misrepresentation of the disorder, added that she had corresponded on Instagram with Baldoni, who told her the film had to take some creative licenses in order to tell the story in 2 hours. I argue infection control is a serious issue in the cystic fibrosis community. It is not a topic that allows any room for creative license. Another cystic fibrosis advocate, Gunnar Azason, argued the whole premise of the film is inherently a bad idea. Some people seem to think it is an enormously positive thing to get cystic fibrosis out there on the silver screen. Other people, like me, think it's pathetic Other people, like me, think it's a pathetic for-profit attempt to capitalize on a very narrow issue that gives a lot of people with cystic fibrosis extreme anxiety and stress. Cross-infection between two kids with cystic fibrosis, he wrote. Others with the disorder voiced their dissent on Twitter. Ugh, even the title is misleading. It's 6 feet with a mask. Outdoors. Indoors, cystic fibrosis patients aren't supposed to be in the same room at all. After all the work we put in for cystic fibrosis awareness and funding research, this makes me feel sick. Not all awareness is good awareness, and personally, 5 Feet Apart is just another story in the long tradition of portraying terminal illness and disability by abled actors for the sake of making healthy people glad they're not personally sick or disabled. The reaction hasn't been unanimously negative, as many cystic fibrosis patients and advocates are thrilled to see the genetic disorder that affects them finally depicted in a mainstream Hollywood film. The film will be released March 22nd, 2019. And then people being excited about representation for cystic fibrosis. Though I'm not sure if they were excited for that with knowing that it was that bad. Also notice, no one who's worked with Justin Baldoni has come out to support him. They have nothing good to say about him. Right. I agree. Cole is the weirdo. He doesn't fit in. Yes. Hi, everyone. I remember an interview where Baldoni described the premise of the film, people being too sick to have a regular relationship. What a beautiful obstacle. Imagine saying that to someone who's immunocompromised. Shit, that's really bad. That's really bad. How the hell did he parlay his Jane the Virgin clout, if you could even call it that? I don't know how prominent he was on the show, into a directorial career. Yeah. Every rumor we hear about Blake is just Justin Baldoni's own projections. He's the one who's a bully, tone-deaf predator, etc. I agree. Yeah, Baldoni seems to take a lot of creative licenses with scripts, with how he paints his harassment of women. I agree. I completely agree. Hello, welcome. I know a family of 2 kids with cystic fibrosis. It's so hard. They literally have to keep them in different parts of the house with air filters and so many precautions I'm not privy to. I cannot imagine being like, well, this is the foundational like idea of what's going on with our characters, but let's just go ahead and take some creative license to make it more romantic. This is by Amy Sarah Marshall from March 14th, 2019. The 5 Feet Apart movie, Cystic Fibrosis, Facts versus Romance. Some people call it a romance, others a horror flick. Both are talking about the movie trailer for 5 Feet Apart, coming to theaters mid-March. The film features 2 teens with cystic fibrosis who fall in love. Online communities of people with CF are buzzing with expectation, some with excitement, others with anger. Why the clashing viewpoints? We spoke with Michaela Blosser, a 27-year-old professional nanny with a husband, a dog, and a cat. She's had cystic fibrosis her whole life and has been a patient at UVA for 8 years. Blosser understands both sides of the controversy the movie has caused. Some are completely supporting it, others completely against it. I'm in the middle, she says. I'm happy for the awareness, but I don't want it to be portrayed in a bad way. So, controversial title of the 5 Feet Apart movie. And then again, it's pointing out people have to stay 6 feet apart from each other at a minimum. The 5 feet mentioned in the title seems to get this wrong, but it's really a reference to the plot. The film's teenage protagonists fall in love and decide to break the rule to get closer to one another. For some, including Blosser, this message could have dangerous consequences. I'm concerned about the younger generation thinking they can blow that rule off, she says. The idea of 2 CF patients falling in love also just doesn't ring true to Blosser. The scenario doesn't match her experience at all. When I saw the movie poster, I got really weirded out, she says. I don't have the desire to meet anyone going through the same thing. I've never really done it. If I do run into a CF patient at a clinic, we have to stay very far from each other. For Blosser, this isn't devastating or romantic. It's a fact of life. So why can't people with cystic fibrosis be near each other? Blosser explains that a person with cystic fibrosis has lungs with a sticky mucus that traps everything. They easily attract airborne bacteria that cause infections. Some infections, like MRSA, for example, can grow for years in a person's lungs. Infections caught from other people with CF are particularly harmful, difficult to treat, and extremely easy to catch. Infected lungs can stop working and even result in death. Do you say MRSA? I think you say MRSA, but then I was like, I'm not going to say it. But I think it's MRSA. I don't think anybody actually spells it out. Minimizing exposure to infections is central to trying to stay well, says Bonnie Riley, nurse coordinator, and Rhonda List, parent partner and quality improvement coordinator. In the effort to prevent cross-preventions, persons with CF are called to isolate themselves physically from an important peer group, others with CF, the very people that they may be most able to relate to and share the challenges of their enormous care burden with. The physical prohibition has led to the growth of vibrant online CF communities that exist on Facebook and Reddit, Blosser says. Those kinds of support groups help a lot of people. Aside from the practical considerations, keeping her distance from other CF patients has emotional benefits for Blosser too. I get frustrated when I see people healthier than me, and I get sad and scared when I see people sicker than me, so it's a way to protect my mental health. Blosser worries her friends will start to think of her as fragile. I don't want anyone to treat me differently after watching the movie, she explains. Yes, I want people to know that it's serious and that when I do call off work, it's because I have to. At the same time, I don't want them to treat me like I'm going to break or keel over at any moment. It's a delicate balance. She's also concerned about the actual viewing of the movie. The infection control in the theater could cause a problem for people with CF, because if everyone's in the same room and coughing airborne bacteria, I hope they realize they're taking a risk if they go to the theater. Blosser plans to avoid the risk and wait until she can watch the film at home. She'll not only feel safer, but at home, I can laugh at the discrepancies without getting real mean looks. Even though the development of the movie relied heavily on input from people with the disease, many worry that the movie will elevate romance over reality. Riley and List note, there is concern that misinformation may be damaging. Living with this chronic disease requires a lot of hard work, and there's no taking a break from it. It requires a great deal of fortitude to keep up with treatment. It's an exhausting disease, and it's hardly romantic. Blosser describes her daily reality. I have an hour of treatment morning and night every day, she says. I use a vibrating vest. It breaks up all the mucus in your lungs to cough it up. If I'm not feeling good, then I up it during the day. If she's healthy, she sees her doctors at UVA once every 3 months. This may seem like a lot, but Blosser says this treatment method trumps the methods used when she was a kid. When I was 8 or 9, my parents had to pound on my front and back to get the mucus out. And then there's also other myths people have about CF. I don't think it's as particular to the movie, but it says CF as a childhood disease is a myth. There's actually more adults now because people used to only live until 16, but life expectancy has increased. Another myth is that people with CF are contagious. She says, when I cough, people give me a weird look, but I'm not contagious. So that makes him making it contagious in the movie even worse, I think. And another myth, everyone with CF wears an oxygen tank. I don't, and hopefully I won't have to for a while, she says. It can be an invisible disease, she adds. For her part, Blosser is open and upfront about her condition. I disclose everything, she says. On top of that, Blosser says she's taken part in clinical trials at UVA. Doing so gives her a sense of giving back to the CF community, and participating in the studies has boosted her health with really positive results. If I can do anything to help, then that's how I can do it. Using my body for science, Blosser says. So, checking in here on the chat. Cole Sprouse starring in a Justin Baldoni Fault in Our Stars with the serial numbers filed off movie, attempting to cynically cash in on the siglet trend of the 2000s, feels too on the nose somehow. Katie Joy, many of us felt we had no choice but to be Team Raphael on Jane the Virgin because the other option was a cop. Yeah. The true option was the hot bisexual who was also a teen wolf. Yes. Hello, welcome. If I was making a joke about a made-up past Baldoni controversy, I'd get to the part where people with cystic fibrosis called him out for misinfo and be like, nah, that's too much, I'm being mean. Love when people create media that doesn't take the group who provided inspiration into account. What's really interesting to me is, like, it seems like he stole a story from one terminally ill person, and then he talked to and, like, used another terminally ill person as a source, but it happened to be somebody who was already gone, who had already passed away by the time the movie was coming out, because he has a weird thing about wanting to know people who are just about to die, because he has his weird fixation on death or whatever. As someone who enjoys and loves most of these movies, including It Ends With Us, I'm more concerned with Justin Baldoni's conduct and how he stole someone else's story pretty much twice. Did this movie give back to the cystic fibrosis community? I don't think it did. I think that they think that making people think that they now know more about cystic fibrosis now that they think that it's fucking contagious via cough. I think Wayfarer thinks that that was a service that they did, because just having name recognition is the same thing as doing advocacy. And it seems to be the same way that they were trying to promote the No More thing for It Ends With Us. Or as he calls it, returning to the womb world. Yeah. What if death and womb world are the same? Okay. I think this is somebody doing analysis on something that is tied into their YouTube video. So, I'm gonna click away from that link for now. Now I have one, March 18th, 2019, Erica W. Smith for Refinery 29 wrote, 5 feet apart, all the controversies explained. We know what it's about, so I'm not going to read the whole thing, but Elsie Tellier, a 22-year-old Harvard student and blogger who has cystic fibrosis, sees it differently. It is not so much a love story as it is romanticizing self-harm and suicide and toxic relationships, she tells Refinery29. She has called for a boycott of the movie on her blog, 65 Pink Roses. And that is the other one that I have open. So I think we should watch, let me move this. Oh, not that one. I think we should watch her video. I kind of doubt that this is somebody who would copyright strike me. But we can do that after we do a little bit more reading. But I do want to see what the data analysis is. I just didn't think it looked as interesting out of context as it will be once we know. Baldoni out here thinking he does a public service by just spreading misinformation about serious topics instead of actually doing any real advocacy or, I don't know, donating those millions. This reminds me of when the people involved in 13 Reasons Why tried to defend their terrible representation by saying it was just starting conversations. Yes. Yeah. I think there's definitely a through line between 13 Reasons Why and this shit, too. Oh, thank you, Sad Fox. Good reminder to moderate you as well. Now you should have a wrench. Joining the stream to be hit with Womb World is such a ride. Okay, so 5 Feet Apart was inspired by a real couple, and the title refers to a real issue for people with cystic fibrosis, aka CF. The risk of cross-infection. Can you see all the words on the screen? Okay, I'm sorry. It's like harder than you would think to make sure that everything is visible at once because I don't want it to be too tiny. I think that's going to be better. Okay. The risk of cross-infection means that they must stay 6 feet apart from each other at all times. The title of the movie refers to Stella's decision to steal 1 foot back. Oh, I really can see why people are concerned about that being portrayed as romantic. Some people in the cystic fibrosis community, aka CFers, are glad to see their illness, a rare and often misunderstood one, portrayed in the media. But others are concerned about the romanticization of the way Will and Stella risk their health and lives, inaccuracies about cystic fibrosis, and aspects of the movie's marketing, including a since-deleted Instagram influencer campaign, which we're going to get into. People with CF, as well as movie reviewers, have pointed out some medical inaccuracies. First, there's the luxurious hospital, complete with a meditation room and pool, but no mention of how the patients afford it. Then there's the fact that Stella and Will spend a lot of time in the hospital without masks on, which is typically recommended for people with CF in order to prevent breathing in germs. Kayla Ariana, a 19-year-old with cystic fibrosis who's reviewed the book 5 Feet Apart, which was written at the same time as the screenplay, on her Tumblr, tells Refinery29 that 5 Feet Apart also doesn't show how hard it is to breathe and how self-conscious one might be. There's a type of shame I feel when I cough in general. There's always an apology after, because it's not normal for one to cough as many times or that hard. Jen Wynnum, 39, quote, and damn proud of it because I've outlived my life expectancy, end quote, wrote about her experience crushing on another CFer as a teen before the 6 feet apart rule was in place on Medium. She tells Refinery29, the biggest, most glaring flaw about 5 feet apart is that if someone was in the hospital for a transplant, there is no way in hell any of their care providers would allow them to be that close to someone else with CF. They would be more than 6 feet apart. This is really a life and death situation, which the movie reduces to a plot device to make teenagers horny. While Wynnum isn't concerned that 5 feet apart will lead people with CF to enter romantic relationships with other people with CF, what I do find harmful is the romanticized presentation of a fatal illness that is so isolating, embarrassing, and at times downright terrifying, she says. Tellier said she's already observed young fans of the book entering CF spaces online to say, "Oh, I'm so sorry for you guys. Your life sucks. I read this book and I cried." And that's really not what we want, she says. Tellier says she thinks the young fans entering CF spaces are doing so because 5 Feet Apart was purposefully made to create feeling of pity among the readers, she says. This is very much what we would call pity porn. Concerns about the movie were exacerbated by a campaign in which Instagram influencers compared the 6 feet apart rule to being far away from friends and family. My brother moved away when I was younger, and I miss them so much. I can relate to the characters in 5 Feet Apart who can't hug or touch, but still help each other overcome life's obstacles, wrote one influencer. The influencers later deleted their posts and apologized, but screenshots live on. The influencers tagged the 5 Feet Apart Instagram account in their captions and used the #ad hashtag. However, it's unclear exactly how the campaign came about and who exactly paid the influencers. We reached out to the production company, CBS Films, and the influencers for more information, but did not receive a response. When I found out about this ad campaign, it was really upsetting. I kind of cried. Who does that? Who compares, oh, I miss my best friend because she lives in another state, to having a disease that will kill you, says Wynnum. Can you see how insensitive this is? This is like paying bald influencers to post about how they relate to people suffering from cancer. Tellier compares the campaign to some of Baldoni's comments about the film, most namely that he hopes people walk out of the theater with a new respect for life, and his comparison of Cole Sprouse's experience growing up as a child star to the experience of people living with cystic fibrosis. It's not a malicious thing, but he's definitely being very misguided, Tellier says. Hello? I'm sorry. Wild. Absolutely wild. You guys know what's like having CF is being a child star. Wow. Wow. Holy God. I hate this. I hate this guy so much. This is worse. This is worse than grab your girls and grab your florals. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It just is. Oh, hi. Hello. Hi, kitten. What's up? Hey. Could you tell I was getting upset? You're so beautiful. You're such a nice kitty cat. Good job, beautiful girl. Can't believe you came over here. Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. Yeah, what's going on? That's the best girl I've ever seen. Hi. Hi, Jojo. Not comparing being a child star to having a severe childhood disability. For real. Absolutely. Yeah, it is. It is so clear he was not making this for the CF community. Jojo. Don't go that way. That's the wrong way. Hello. Jojo here to save our sanity. Meow Meow presents seeing Justin crying with the 2 kittens in the back made my day. I honestly think this man thinks he's doing good and that's worse than just being money hungry. I think he's got so much. He says he has imposter syndrome, and he does not have nearly enough imposter syndrome to have made him not make this movie be full of misinformation. Like, somebody, Jojo, please. Please. I don't know. There's no room for her on this side of the desk, and yet that is the only place she wants to be. But like, I think if all this shit he says about himself having imposter syndrome is true, he would have thought a little harder about any of the decisions in this movie. I think a major issue with a lot of awareness media is that it doesn't actively try to inform people, it just wants people to go, oh no, that's sad, poor baby, which just winds up gross. I agree. And Cold Sprouts was there. He does. He thinks so highly of himself. This guy loves himself. And then he just wants to be like, but I'm so aware of my own shortcomings and my feelings. And that's why I made my wife comfort me about anything I ever did to hurt you during our wedding vows or whatever the fuck. Like, come on, man. Okay, so She said it's not a malicious thing, but he's definitely being very misguided. I think it's ignorant to the point of basically being malicious. Gunnar Azasen, who has covered the movie on his blog, points out that apart from the Instagram influencer campaign, the movie's social media advertising is unsettling, such as a tweet of a no, such as a tweet of the trailer captioned, "We're not crying, you are." He adds that the production company is also showing an unwillingness to recognize criticism from members in the community. The 5 Feet Apart team consulted with cystic fibrosis activist and YouTuber Claire Wineland, who passed away in September 2018, and the movie is dedicated to her. A retired CF nurse was also on set to advise on accuracy. But then they didn't listen to her because of creative license, I guess. However, Tellier points out that there were no people with CF in the writer's room or acting in the film. It goes back to the old disability rights movement mantra, nothing about us without us, she says. This is not to say that everyone with CF is against 5 Feet Apart. The movie has defenders within the community. Wineland's foundation has promoted the film, and the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation writes that they are hopeful that the movie will be a positive opportunity to increase awareness of CF. Writer Brad Dell, who has cystic fibrosis, wrote a column for Cystic Fibrosis News Today called In Defense of 5 Feet Apart, sort of. The movie will be cheesy, as expected for a teen romance, sure, but it provides provocative commentary on the complexities of CF life, Dell tells Refinery29. I was surprised at how many accurate details they stuck into the story. He believes that after seeing the movie, people will be more encouraged to fundraise for a cure when they realize the gravity of our disease. He adds that he found the influencer ad campaign insensitive, ignorant, and ineffective, but it wasn't malicious. I'll still watch the movie. Tellier says that although she agrees that there should be more awareness of cystic fibrosis, the movie is going about it the wrong way. The things that CFers want is better awareness from the FDA about putting forward drug trials, which right now are way too expensive for most people, encouraging people to sign themselves up as organ donors on their driver's license, or just giving disabled people the space to write their own stories. A lot of people are like, it's exposure, it's representation, she says, but my opinion in general is that we shouldn't have to settle for bad representation, because this is not good representation. It got 1 angry react, 2 surprised reacts, and 1 impressed react. I'm gonna leave a love react 5 years later. Wouldn't it be nice if institutions like Hollywood donated all the profits from the movie to research? This is the other thing. So I have this post up here where it was about the influencer ads that were deleted, which we've already talked about here. But we've got these posts here where they say, like, they're all bad. Literally, they were 0 for 6. They all had to delete them because all of them were just making weird parallels that had nothing to do with being immunocompromised. But all of them said at the end, tag someone in the comments below who you may not be near to, but who will always be close to your heart. For each person tagged on any partner's post, $1 will be donated to cystic fibrosis research, up to $5,000. Which does not seem like a lot of money to me. I'm sorry. Like, it does seem like a lot of money to me, but not in the context of how much money they probably paid Cold Sprouts. Like, I don't think that $5,000 is even enough that it would do anything on their taxes. Like, what? $5,000 is nothing. And what it reminds me of is that incredibly generous 1% that they earmarked for It Ends With Us, where it's like almost nothing at all. Because it isn't. Like, $5,000 is not very much. I'm sure that they paid so much more than that for the former Disney child actors. And I'm sure Baldoni took home a bigger paycheck than $5,000. So, like, why is $5,000 what you can do here? Yeah, especially for medical research, $5,000 is nothing. Dude thinks he's a superhero for writing disability fanfic. For real? It makes me think of Tiny Tim in A Christmas Carol, who says he wants people to see him so they can feel more grateful about their own able bodies. Hi, Drowsy Fun, welcome in. He was actually making the movie for cystic fibrosis itself. He wanted to humanize the disease and prove it's a good disease. It just made a mistake by affecting people's lungs. I think it's giving strong 13 Reasons Why as well. Yeah, I don't even think $5,000 would cover a month's worth of the marketing they did for it. $5,000 as a donation from a movie that big is laughable. I agree. And why not give the money anyway? Why demand people advertise the movie before you pay the money? Right. We're not, it could have just said, and also we've donated like $100,000 to this cause. And I would have been like, okay, cool. But like $5,000 is not enough that I even feel like I need to give it credit. Yeah, instead of engagement farming, just donate the $5,000 and not place the $1 tag thing there. Yes. Yeah, Andy, we talked about the script being stolen via the lawsuit with Travis Flores. That was in my most recent update video, and I did mention it earlier. Like, that's the thing. Like, if all of this was this shitty just for the marketing, that would have been bad enough. But that he seems to have stolen the story from somebody who was terminally ill, and then he, like, involved somebody else who was closer to the end of being terminally ill, so that could be somebody that he was like, oh, this is our advocate who the movie is about, but also she's not here to tell me that I'm doing anything wrong when I'm taking all these creative licenses. Like, it is so goddamn shitty on so many levels. I hate this guy. I hate this guy so much. And I think, again, everything about this is worse than, it's worse than the marketing for It Ends With Us being bad. And also, if the marketing for It Ends With Us is bad, then in similar tone-deafy ways to the It Ends With Us marketing, to the 5 Feet Apart marketing, whose fault do you think that is? Like, the common denominator between 5 Feet Apart and It Ends With Us, which both had bad marketing, is not Blake Lively. It's Justin Baldoni, who fucking set her up. He set her up and told her to do the marketing the way that he already wants the marketing done. Like, he pivoted once he noticed that it was beneficial for him to pivot. Like, and one of these things was based on a Colleen Hoover novel, and one of them was based on a story that he seems to have stolen from a dying man. Like, it is just... It's so fucked. I can't believe people aren't more upset about this than they are about It Ends With Us. But it's not as fun to be upset about the Cole Sprouse movie as it is to be upset about Blake Lively. Because to be upset about the Cole Sprouse movie, you have to listen to disabled people. And people don't like doing that. Yeah, of course. No worries. Not at all. No apologies at all, Andy. Yeah, I'm glad you brought it up. Thank you so much for covering this. I have a chronic illness, and it's so disgusting the way he screwed over sick people. He's vile. He's awful. He's a horrible, horrible dude. He totally thinks he's a good person for getting the story out there, regardless of how it was acquired. Yeah, this is so nasty. I hate this. So yeah, there are all 6 posts. I don't necessarily think I need to read all of them, right? But we've got thinking of my cousin Paige today. Similar to the new movie, 5 Feet Apart, she has always been there for me, even though we're separated by a distance. She lives in a different state, but is always only a phone call away. She has always been someone who has taught me about compassion and being patient with others. And then tag someone in the comments below and we'll pay $1 if you market our movie for us. Jaden Bartles wrote, my brothers moved away when I was younger. That's the one I read earlier. Around the same time the ads were posted, media company ATTN, Attention, shared a now deleted video with a similar message. The video compared the physical distance Will and Stella must maintain due to CF in the film to the long-distance relationship between a woman and her husband, who is serving in the military overseas. The Instagram ads and video immediately sparked outrage, both in and out of the cystic fibrosis community. Although navigating a long-distance relationship with a loved one can be difficult, many argue it is very different than the distance a person with CF must maintain between themselves and others to protect against infection, and therefore should not be compared. The influencers also asked their followers to tag their friends in the comments to help raise money for CF research, but many were upset by the way the condition was mentioned as an afterthought and not discussed in detail as the main focus of the post. Instagram user Jennifer at Battling to Breathe shared screenshots of several of the ads after they were deleted, explaining why they were so problematic for the CF community. Seeing these posts infuriate me that this is how they're sponsoring CF. They barely mention CF. Living in a different state from your family member and having to just do phone calls is nothing like two people with deadly bacteria who can get each other very sick by touching. This is being twisted out of context, and it's a shame. You can go visit your cousins, aunts, and uncles without possibly killing them. These are disrespectful, and frankly, I am not going to stand for anything like this. Don't add CF at the end like your quick last thought. Actually do research on the disease and inform people on what CF is, not this rubbish. The analogy is so far off, the comparison is lacking. Sorry, not sorry. Hashtag against this, hashtag stop this, hashtag educate yourselves. Others were quick to weigh in as well. Elsie Tellier, a disabled fashion blogger with cystic fibrosis, tweeted, "Honestly, these ads are just adding to my disgust towards the film. It's clear that the creators do not care about CFers, and they are simply using a misguided facsimile of our struggles to create drama for healthy, abled people." Tellier also explained on her blog, 65 Pink Roses, why the comparison made between long-distance relationships and living with CF is problematic and hurtful. Look, I am an international student from Canada who's currently going to school at Harvard University in the United States. I only get to see my family twice a year. I really miss them. I miss not being able to hug and be near my loved ones for months at a time, but that struggle is not comparable to the struggles I face having a terminal illness. Nothing about cystic fibrosis can be reduced to a metaphor. It is not relatable. You do not know what it is like to have had a terminal illness since you were born. You do not know what it is like to get sicker every day until you die or are lucky enough to receive a lung transplant. Terminal illness and disability more generally is not a comparable experience, and to say that being terminally ill is the same thing as being not... And to say that being terminally ill is the same thing as not being able to hug your mom every day is unquestionably ableist. I completely agree. I think that it is so disabled. Like, it is so ableist. It is fucked up. Others from the cystic fibrosis community, including advocate Gunnar Asason, have called for an apology from director Justin Baldoni and the film's PR team. Gunnar says this is not good at 5 Feet Apart and at Justin Baldoni. This is an incredibly insensitive comparison. Relating lifestyle inconveniences to living with cystic fibrosis is wrong. Our patient community deserves an apology. I have compiled some of our patient community's thoughts in a blog post here. Nice job comparing a lifestyle choice to a chronic genetic disease people are struggling to live a normal life with every day. There are so many other aspects of cystic fibrosis you could compare to for an ad campaign. Wrong. Though Baldoni and several cast members have previously spoken about how important it is to them to portray cystic fibrosis authentically and included CF advocates while making the film, many of those with CF believe that these ads send a different message entirely. To take back control of the narrative, Breathe In, a CF podcast, suggested the CF community post pictures on Instagram of what life with cystic fibrosis is really like, using the hashtag CFCommunityUnites. The Mighty has reached out to Justin Baldoni and has yet to hear back. Yeah, there was also no woman to hate in the narrative around this film, so why even care then? Yes. Marty says, yeah, his exploitation of chronically ill people hits a personal chord with me as well, particularly that reality show or docuseries or whatever he tried to do. Yeah, the fucking My Last Days bullshit. It's so exploitative. It's nasty. This guy, I do not trust this guy. Justine, I really liked Medusini's point about the marketing being like the book's marketing because it'd get more people in without hitting them in the face with very serious topics. A friend who works with IPV victims thought the sell would be helpful to her clients, but then all this. Yeah, this is bad. Hi, welcome, Chris. We're talking about the marketing for the 5 Feet Apart movie, which is terrible. Yes, able-bodied people will do everything to help disabled people except listen to disabled people. He only wants to listen to people when he can make his little show about how, like, isn't it so inspiring that the dying are still alive until they die, and they can teach us how to live our lives to the fullest? And it's like, that's fucked up. it's just fucked up. I haven't watched his My Last Days show, and I feel like that is a thing that is so exploitative that I don't want to watch that on stream. Like I feel like it would end up putting me in a similar position to when we were watching the Me Too video and we just like suddenly got really hit with a bunch of really upsetting things. Like I don't think that that would be a good time for me to sit and watch through, and I don't think it would be a good time for a lot of you to sit and watch through either. But I would like to read a review at some point of his My Last Days article that I had found that I thought was really good at pointing out how shitty it was. Isn't it inspiring that you, viewer, aren't sick? Isn't that so cool? I'm not even sure why this movie needed relatable marketing and why similar projects feel the need to have everyone feel included so they'll even care at all. That's the thing. I don't feel like with The Fault in Our Stars there was like, and now imagine yourself as this. Like, I don't know. Like I guess that's kind of the thought behind these books and behind even like A Walk to Remember or whatever, that there's some idea of that, but this is very, you should care because it's just like that your cousin doesn't live close, and it's like that's not why you should care about the disabled and the terminally and chronically ill. I was reading an article about how the lady he got to check out the script for accuracy passed away before she could show Baldoni her cut. Baldoni said, "I'm still dealing with it." And the guy he stole the movie from was still alive all throughout the movies. Like, all throughout the movie's release. This guy is such a fucking creep. He's a fucking, we were calling him Count Sagula, the tragedy vampire, a while ago. Edward Sullen. I hate him. This is another thing. Yeah, I have not noticed him giving particularly a shit about, like, disability rights in general. It feels like it's very specifically a fixation on death and dying, which reminds me of the what if birth and death are the same thing talk that we watched. It's nasty. Okay, so this is the one from Gunner. Also, something I think is cool about doing the research of this. Oh, I didn't realize I'm kind of cut off on the screen. Something I think is cool about doing this research is how many of the names are popping up in the same place. And I can see that these are like people who are like very involved in advocacy around this. So that is cool. So this is Gunner. And I'm trying to make it. Okay, this is just not going to be as easy for you to read as it is for me to read. Update 3/12/19. The video advertisement discussed below, which was regrammed to Breathe In Pod, was reported and then subsequently removed from Instagram. It's a real shame because there was a constructive discourse in the comment section between people living with cystic fibrosis. We've also been made aware some influencers commented apologies on the posts in question before deleting them altogether. Again, I don't think anyone, certainly me included, is holding any of the influencers accountable, but I do appreciate their willingness to make, albeit temporary, statements. There is yet to be an official comment or retraction from the 5 Feet Apart camp, CBS Films, or Justin Baldoni. So, if that's his most recent update here, I'm interested because it says the studio apologized on Wikipedia. But I don't... Did it even say that they apologized in this? Because this one said that they called for an apology, and that's the only mention of an apology. I don't think that they actually apologized. Like, I feel like if they had apologized, it would be coming up by now. Does the Wikipedia really just say that they apologized only because people said that they should apologize? Um, Contrary to what people think about me, I have never edited a Wikipedia page. I just legitimately haven't. But I think if somebody does edit Wikipedia, maybe they could update that to say that an apology was called for. But I don't believe that they did apologize. But I guess we'll see what that Reddit thread said. But I haven't independently found anything about them apologizing. And yeah, so this is the 2 days ago somebody posted this on Baldoni files, and this is the post where I was like, oh man, this is even better than I had gotten into yet on my own. So the post is by several extent 8815. I know this will be a long post, but I have receipts, and it's titled Justin Baldoni when there was no Blake to blame for his similar tone-deaf marketing plan of 5 feet apart. In the movies, the main characters, Will and Stella, are two teenagers living in a hospital due to their medical conditions, cystic fibrosis. As they spend time together, they begin to fall in love. The title, 5 feet apart, stems from their decision to defy the strict 6-foot separation rule meant to prevent cross-infection. Early on, people from the CF community started to express their frustration about how the movie is presented as a tear-jerking rom-com tragic romance. Sounds familiar. And here's a post from 6 years ago in r/cystic fibrosis saying, personally, I don't like 5 feet apart at all. I know we should appreciate all the time our disease is given in the spotlight in the media, but I think there are better ways of doing it, such as how One Republic did it. Why can't there be a movie about a CF athlete or a comedy about the life of a kid with CF? Why does the first movie about CF have to be a tragic romance that isn't even very realistic? I mean, if I'm going to be honest, Jackass represents my life so much better than 5 feet apart. Even my mom, who likes tragic romance movies, rolled her eyes when we saw the preview for the first time. I predict 5 feet apart will be super cringy, and I want a good, non-romantic movie about cystic fibrosis that better represents what we go through in a way that isn't super tragic. Some people still appreciated that the film helped raise awareness about the illness. However, concerns arose once the marketing campaign began. Here we go. Some of the marketing. Go see this movie. Bring tissues. Don't wear mascara. Get some Sour Patch Kids. Cole Sprouse is hitting the big screen in the emotional 5 feet apart. Grab your girls and your tissues and book tickets now for our next Girls' Night Out, Wednesday, March 20th. And then this one, I cried so much in this movie, and then I hope you had plenty of tissues. Bring tissues, don't wear mascara, get Sour Patch. Sounds like coming from the people who worked on the It Ends With Us marketing campaign. Grab your girls, wear your florals, and head to the theaters. Deja vu. The people marketing 5 feet apart have left the CF community feeling sick from their tone-deaf ad campaign. And then this lady posing with a tissue. My tissue was soaked. Thanks a lot. Did you feel all the feels while watching hashtag 5 feet apart? Prove it. Submit a video of your reaction using the hashtag, and you just might be featured on our channels. Elsie Tellier with CF said in her blog, 5 feet apart seeks to diminish our lives, our stories, and our humanity just to create a tragic plot for able-bodied people to cry over, and I refuse to accept their hypocrisy. In addition, their most recent marketing campaign has been focused, absolutely tone-deaf, on comparing the experience of cystic fibrosis to the feeling of being far apart from a loved one. Yeah? Are you coming back? What's up? The marketing got the biggest backlash when the social media posts were disgustingly minimizing the real effects of terminal illnesses to social distancing. And then 2020, they said these two invented social distancing with pictures. And then this is a quote we already read about, I cried because who does that? Who compares I miss my best friend because she lives in another state to having a disease that will kill you? And then, like I said, we've already seen all of this. Julia Ray wrote in her blog that he contacted Justin Baldoni. I voiced my concerns to Justin Baldoni on Instagram, post of the movie's poster. He responded arguing that he consulted with a CF patient and a CF nurse throughout filming, and added that this is a film and creative license is always necessary to tell a complete story in 2 hours. I argue that infection control is a serious issue in the cystic fibrosis community. It is not a topic that allows any room for creative license. Moreover, there are plenty of more creative ways cystic fibrosis could have been brought to the silver screen. Furthermore, Justin refers to us as CFers. I take personal offense to this term. While cystic fibrosis has certainly informed who we are, it is not our identity. Psychologists share that our identity is linked to self-esteem, which then informs our resilience. Our sense of identity can influence our life experiences and success. Though it may be popular to identify cystic fibrosis patients as CFers or sisters and fibros, that's so cringe. Sisters and fibros, I believe it changes the way we perceive our own identity. If we identify ourselves as the disease itself, it can negatively impact how we see ourselves and how we handle the obstacles we face due to cystic fibrosis. Let's pause for a minute and try to find another illness that identifies its patient as the illness itself. We do not call those who have diabetes diabetesers, or those battling muscular dystrophies MDers, or cancer patients cancers. I find it offensive. If you have cystic fibrosis, you should too. You are so much more than the battles you are fighting. You are strong. You are not cystic fibrosis, and you are not a CFer. You are you with your unique gifts and talents. The identifier I would use for you is warrior. I've always really hated when people say migrainers. So I really resonate with what they're saying there about CFers being weird, and I think that that's really true. Makes complete and total sense to me that people would hate CFers, because I hate migrainers, and it's not nearly as bad, I think, to be called a migrainer as it is to be called a cystic fibrosiser. My head is in my hands. This is gross as hell. Yeah, Jojo, you're in the way. Thank you. Listen, I'm not religious, but I think that team is going to hell. As someone who loves writing dark, sad stories, I can't imagine energetically encouraging readers to send videos of them crying to my stories. Me neither. Yeah, Justine, I think it does vary a bit, and like I understand, because it's like a long, like, cystic fibrosis is a long name, so like I can understand them being like CF or for like themselves. But if I were making a movie about people who were in a certain community, I wouldn't use their community name for themselves. I would say people who are in X community. Yeah. Hi, Jojo. You are so nice. Someone who suffers from chronic migrainers, a thing. That's just a genuine reaction. I had zero clue. I've seen people be like, other migrainers, or like, I'm a migrainer or whatever, but I haven't seen it like super often. They spell it kind of weird, like I think there's a U involved sometimes. Yeah, Marty, I think it's totally fine for people to self-identify as they please, but a film marketing itself on a community that isn't a monolith is cringe to me. I agree. Probably like all chronic illness, disability, neurodiversity community, one person's preferred term is another's. Ew, cringe, that ain't me. Yeah, I think so too. I'm about to tell my wife about migrainers. She's gonna lose it. Yes, yeah, I've seen the French spelling for it, but like by like Americans or like people using English. Never heard migrainer before, but as a migraine haver, I am not a fan. I don't like it. I hate the term fibro fighter. Like, no, I am a fibro sufferer. It's not a fight. I will not get better, and I cannot do much to prevent getting worse. Yeah, like I feel like people are so weird and like paternalizing with this kind of stuff. I can't imagine being called an EDSer or something. That feels so condescending and dismissive of how it affects my life, and my condition isn't going to kill me. I think a lot of the attention behind the use of CFer is to make it more cutesy, which feels gross. It feels very fueled by being appealing/aesthetic. Yeah. Interesting, because being autistic myself, a lot in that community prefer, in my experience, not as a whole identity first language, like autistic, rather than someone with autism. Yeah, I think there is a difference between like person who has autism is so clunky. And I guess you could also argue that people who have cystic fibrosis is also clunky. But I think just using people in the cystic fibrosis community would have sidestepped a lot of the issues that Baldoni was putting his foot in his mouth on by being like CFers. Like, I do think CFers is the kind of thing where it's like, it's cutesy enough that people who are in there is fine. Yeah. I love neurospicy, but lots of people hate it, or certain stuff that's come up for like little kids with my illness that I, as an adult, would roll my eyes have called. Yeah, I was being subtle, but I hate migrainers. I'm glad for anyone who loves it, but nope. I also got EDS, and I hate the cutesy stuff. All love for anyone who enjoys it, but nope, not for me. Yeah, yeah. With autism, it's because a lot of parents want the autism cured, so people don't like this idea that their autism can be separated from them. That makes sense too. That I think it's like I think that the reason that it is different about being like I am autistic versus like I am a person with autism is that like autism is not a disability, but then you are kind of a person with a disability if you do have a disability. So like I think I understand why that's like an interesting comparison, but I also think just because like autism isn't the same kind of thing of like I'm gonna go into specific treatments for this one thing that may or not like materially help me, that it makes sense that there's different preferred language for it. I'm suddenly very glad that most people with chronic bronchitis are 60 plus, because I can't imagine stumbling across a cutesy hip name for my disability. All he would have had to do to sidestep this would be to just communicate with the CF community and find out the way they prefer to be referred to. Like, all he had to do was make the effort to reach out. And it seems like he reached out very specifically, again, to somebody who would then very shortly after pass away and not be around for him to be checking his marketing against. It's wild. It feels so, this went through our marketing department and they think you're gonna love it. It makes me feel manipulated in a way that gets my defense up. Yeah. And then finally, CF Bridge of Hope organization stated in February 1st, 2025, the movie generated, is that 80 million? Oh, I didn't know I was going to open it. Movie generated over $80 million in gross income, yet CF patients and researchers got not even a penny to support their daily battles with CF. So I don't know 100% for sure that, like, maybe when they took down that whole sponsorship campaign, they also took away the idea of donating $5,000. I don't know if they donated anything. But and again, the fact that they went for all of these people for the marketing campaign who would say, oh, here I am, I know exactly what this is like because my cousin lives far away. Why couldn't they have paid that money to people who have like a platform and also CF? Like, they could have asked any of those people who have blogs and YouTube channels who we've been reading statements from, they could have paid them to make a post about 5 feet apart. But they wanted to get like the normies and the able-bodied people in because they assumed that the people who are disabled are going to be so grateful for the crumbs that they're gonna like grab on and be like, yeah, we're ride or die, so now you only need to worry about getting the normies on. Does this mean as a safe space for me to say that as someone with chronic illness, I hate spoon theory? That's valid. That's very valid. Yeah, my autism feels different than my migraines or my EDS. I am autistic, but I have migraines. I have EDS. Yeah. I'm autistic and I have migraine, IBS. In general, I see it as being a difference of things that make me ill / disabled versus things that aren't inherently harmful, even if it makes life in society harder. I think so too, yeah. Like, I think I'm definitely... I'm somewhere on some spectrums, right? But like the migraines are the things that cause me to be disabled because they like preclude me from engaging in daily life. So it makes sense to me that like there's different boundaries around words that I would want. And even within all of that, there's different boundaries between like if somebody was making a movie and they were like, this woman has migraines pretty much every day, and it's so sad, and isn't it so romantic that she would like for her life to be different than it is? I would be like, this is bullshit. I'm not gonna watch this just because I have migraines all the time. So, like, I really resonate, even outside of the parts where this is, like, fucking irresponsible, like the shit where they were pretending like this is a contagious illness when it's not. I resonate just with the idea of the people who suffered from this illness being annoyed by this marketing campaign. I think this session is a great example that the marketing department doing zero research and just assuming people with a condition would all have the same take was stupid, right? We don't even know at this point if they donated any money to know more. We certainly don't see any history of Baldoni donating to any CF charities, and he loved the 5 feet apart promo and used it as the model to promote It Ends With Us. And then here, we do have a picture of one of the documents filed, and it's, why is this not, okay, I hate this. Hi, it was great meeting with everybody to discuss the vision for the 3 pre-production social videos and initial content and campaign concepts. I've attached an overview of the topics covered during our call. This is from January 13th, 2023. Wayfarer, It Ends With Us campaign concepts, Wayfarer marketing, Sony marketing team, CC Justin Baldoni, Jamie Heath. And then it literally says, nationwide Lily Bloom pop-up shops, fun and sexy floral shop around the country. Justin, and if possible, other cast, to show up impromptu for photos, book signings, maybe even working in the shop. Partner with a domestic abuse organization, No More, and local shelters to facilitate access to resources and safe house. Early fan screenings across country. Cast flies from screening to screening before premiere. 5 feet apart model. So they were fine. They were fine with their marketing. They loved it. Also, fun and sexy floral shops. What? And I cannot stress this enough, the actual fuck. It makes me so sick how everyone went after Blake for the marketing, downplaying the serious subject of domestic violence, when it was always Wayfarer who came up with the shit in the first place. Agree, Mundane Mend 8047. Yeah. The marketing language being so similar in style to It Ends With Us is so relevant. I agree. Yeah, grab your girls, grab your tissues, prove you felt all the feels, inspiration porn, aka the Wayfarer special. The prove it posts aren't survivor content, but I don't know what to call this. Trauma dump content, sad post content, catharsis content. This is disgusting. To invalidate people with terminal illnesses by using a story stolen from Travis Flores as he was dying of CF as some sort of emotional purge for healthy, able-bodied people with run-of-the-mill issues, and of course, $80 million profit. It's deplorable. So yeah, we've got lots of people saying, it looks like it says grab your girls, and wasn't that also on the It Ends With Us one, grab your girls and grab your florals. He is definitely coming up with this himself, and he's not very creative at all. So he does tone-deaf marketing for everything. I guess I shouldn't be surprised at all. And the one who contacted him, and he tried to argue, yes, it's not something you'd risk your life for. Also not surprised the people with it saw no money from it, just like It Ends With Us partnering with Scam Charity and My Last Days when they also never saw any money. And wow, he just loves to show stuff like this. I went on his IMDb, and the last produced movie is the one here. He really likes to virtue signal. Has he done anything that's not virtue signaling besides Garfield? Will and Harper, he supports all the causes apparently, but I doubt it. I was surprised that Will and Harper was Wayfarer. But also, as we've said before on streams, like that was like a road trip movie, so I'm not sure that they had too much to do with it. That's what I want in a fictional floral shop too, Ryle showing up out of nowhere. Yeah, I think this is very much a scenario where people within the community can have very valid and differing opinions in regards to terms, but the moment there's a product being sold, it's not okay. I agree. Yeah, it's on brand for the movie, but not in a good way. This may be unkind, but I feel like given the vibe of this guy and the company, if they donated, we'd probably be hearing about it to this day. I agree. I bet no one did that gross short story sharing thing, so I bet no money was donated. I'm not sure No More wants the heat for accepting a donation from this guy. It's fraught for them. I need to look more into No More, because I still am not even entirely sure what the fuck No More even purports to do. 80 million profit, and they donated 5K. They might have donated 5K. I have seen no receipt that they have donated 5K. Acting like a genetic disorder is instead a contagious airborne disease is massively stigmatizing to the population they are pretending to care about. I agree. Also, hi, welcome, Fisher friends. It's fucked up. Like, it is, I cannot believe that this is the shit that they're doing. So, Ex-Patriarch actually also made a thread, connecting this to the No More one. So I'm gonna see if I can find this. Baldoni, No More, and the smear campaign. Oh no, that's not it. So, this is also in the Baldoni Files Reddit, which, if you have not already been keeping up, this is the only Reddit that I think is actually worth looking into. It's really, really good. So he posted this. He thanked the person who posted this. So he thanked several extent and was saying, like, it's a fantastic deep dive, which is true. So, Ex-Patriarch then posts Baldoni, No More, and the smear campaign. Much of the backlash that Blake Lively received was about the Grab Your Girls, Wear Your Floral social media post that was posted on the day of the film's release, August 9th. I've talked before about how this one-liner was actually used by the social media accounts for over a week. And then he's got evidence of that. And just recently, several extent posted to this sub how Grab Your Girls, Grab Your Friends, Get Your Girls was also part of the marketing for Baldoni's previous movie, 5 Feet Apart, which was also heavily criticized for its tone-deaf marketing. The pushback Lively received was largely over people saying that Baldoni was the only one talking about domestic violence in the marketing for the movie. So I went back to review all the promotional work Baldoni ever did for It Ends With Us and found something interesting. On August 7th, Baldoni does a series of interviews to promote It Ends With Us and is seen wearing a pin representing the No More organization. No More are the domestic violence brand that Wayfarer had partnered with for It Ends With Us and were donating 1% of the profits from the movie to. Baldoni does interviews for The Today Show, CBS Mornings, and Access Hollywood. August 7th is also the day Baldoni's team launched the social media smear campaign. August 7th, Abel tells Tag to get the green light and brief the social media manipulation team. On no other day does Justin Baldoni wear the domestic violence pin while doing promotional work for It Ends With Us. And we've got evidence. May 6th, when he's at the pop-up promo, he's not wearing it. July 24th, he's at the pop-up again, he's still not wearing it. Not wearing it at the screening event on August 5th or August 11th. Not once does Justin Baldoni wear the No More pin again. The only day that Justin Baldoni appears to wear the No More pin is on the same day his team enact the social media manipulation campaign. 2 days later, on August 9th, Blake Lively would receive massive backlash for using the same one-liner that had been used for over a week in various social media posts. This was called out by Wayfarer's VP of Marketing and Communications, Ashmi Elizabeth Dang, as an example of inappropriately marketing the film, despite the fact that the one-liner is nearly identical to how Wayfarer marketed 5 Feet Apart, and the one-liner had been used in It Ends With Us since July 28th. Back in May 2024, when Justin Baldoni first realized that Ryan Reynolds had blocked him, Jennifer Abel calls out that they can put the plan down on paper. Working with both Jamie Heath and Wayfarer's VP of Marketing and Communications, Ashmi Elizabeth Dang, suggesting that Dang had been aware of and part of the plan that Wayfarer had put forth against Blake Lively. Jennifer Abel, he blocked you? Is he a 12-year-old girl? Ugh, this kind of behavior is ridiculous, and part of the whole plan to keep chipping away at you because they know you will notice this kind of stuff and then likely acquiesce to more of her demands. We can put the plan down on paper and work with Jamie and Ashley to make sure we have all the documentation needed of what happened on set, who witnessed what, and who would be our allies to go on background if needed to shut down her claims, and then a timeline of everything Wayfarer did to ensure it was a safe set, etc. We will get through this together. Justin, yes, thank you. Blocked me and Wayfarer. It's why I wanted to hire a person to help me document everything. But I can't live in that fear. Not willing to. But I need you guys to very much have a real plan so I can feel at ease. Sorry. August 11th, 2024. 2 days after the innocuous Instagram post using the 1 week old one-liner is posted, reflecting on the response to this weekend, Baldoni suggests pivoting to posting about domestic violence content. Good morning, team. So I was thinking about the response to this weekend, and I feel like what we should do is make sure to emphasize the voices of the survivors. It's going to be a lot of buzz about how much the movie made, but I want to be the one that always direct the back to the survivors. So I would love to come up with some sort of video or carousel of messages from survivors and the response to the film. So ex-patriarch concludes, in summary, it looks like Wayfarer engineered the backlash over the Grab Your Girls, which had always been part of the marketing for It Ends With Us. Baldoni, anticipating the move, appears to have worn the No More pin for promo work on the same day as the social media manipulation campaign was launched. This could have been in the hopes his performative act would prevent any backlash spilling over to him. This is a condensed version of a much longer video I did about the marketing plan, and I'll add that link to the description because I didn't realize he had also done a video about it. But I really, really like Ex-Patriarch and the work that he's been doing on this. I think he's been really cool. He's been doing the good work on this. But like I said, I will put the link to that in the description once I'm done here. Having a fill in the blank phrase like grab your ex is fascinating to me because 1, it's not great marketing, it's too abstract for me, and 2, clearly low effort from the marketing team. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of buzz about how much the movie made. Are you going to do anything with that money or just divert again? Right. I'm usually not a fan of the whole inspirational domestic violence movie genre, even if they're supposedly for people like me, but I especially don't trust Justin Baldoni to do the topic justice. Me neither. 1% of profit is meaningless. Hollywood is pretty good at padding expenses with shell companies. Yeah, and that's the thing is like I've said, I don't know what No More even is because it's a resource designed to help individuals, organizations, and communities raise awareness and take action to end domestic and sexual violence. If they were like, hey, here's specifically like a domestic violence shelter that we are working with. And this is the same thing that I come back to when I think about how mad people got about Blake Lively. Blake Lively, yes, admittedly, she fumbled the answer to that question that was like, what would you do? What would you say if somebody told you that this movie like changed their life and made them want to leave their partner or whatever? And she was like, oh, do you want my phone number? Should we share locations? Like, what do you want? And she got a lot of shit for that. I don't really care because I think it's a failure of Sony that she was not extremely market trained and media trained to say, I would be so happy that our movie started those kinds of conversations, but I wouldn't really be able to help, and I would suggest that they reach out to people in their lives who can help, or to this hotline number that I have memorized. And, like, they did not set her up for that, because they didn't tell her that she was, like, agreeing to be an advocate or something. They told her she was going to be the female lead in a Colleen Hoover movie, and so she marketed it the way they fucking told her to, and then they crucified her for it. He very much seems like the kind of guy to call somebody a DV warrior. Yeah, it's fine to refer to people that way, but it gives me chills in marketing campaigns. I agree. I feel like that question was planted because how would anyone actually answer that? It was a bad question. It was a bad and weird question, and like her kind of making it clear that it would have been like parasocial. Like I didn't have an issue with that. I wonder if the guys at Wayfarer had a panic over their marketing being badly taken yet again and were relieved to have a woman to throw under the bus in their stead. Yeah, they explicitly told her to avoid talking about domestic violence in interviews, which is another reason that, like, I don't care. I don't know. So they did do something with Avon at one point, No More, which to me that puts them what are they saying about online misogyny if they are why did you say no to Justin Baldoni's money if you're talking about online misogyny? So I don't know anything about these particular people. I do know that there was a bunch of blog posts that seem to have existed that popped up around the same time as Baldoni's involvement with the smear campaign, and one of those was a post with FKA Twigs, who is a client of Brian Friedman's, which that's nothing against FKA Twigs, but like I do think that she's being used, which I've mentioned before. But I don't think that this is like exactly a sock account for like I don't know any reason to believe that Baha'i is that No More is like Baha'i, or that it's like a Wayfarer thing. Like I think it's who Wayfarer decided that they were going to give 1% of their money to, and that maybe Friedman was involved here. But it says, with more than 1,400 allied organizations, over 40 state, local, and international chapters, No More sparks grassroots activism, encouraging everyone, women and men, youth and adults from all walks of life, to be part of the solution. But it's very non-specific. Again, as I've said before, if they were specifically like, we want to talk about like what you actually do when you do leave, you know, like it reminds me very much of like Time's Up or whatever. I'm glad she wasn't fake about the DV thing, like Justin acting like he knew what the women's gaze was. Yeah. And the No More Avon promotions are also just aesthetically look like the gross Wayfarer roundtable men's talk thing. So my conspiracy theory is that they are more deeply linked. I'm very interested. I can't remember what she said, but she did answer the question after that. It's just been clipped to hell, and I've only seen one person that I can remember playing the whole clip. That doesn't surprise me at all. Oh, Wayfarer's Brian Singer is on the board of directors for No More. There we go. Yeah, so I think they are. So I was being too generous saying that I don't know if they're a sock account. They might that feels like money laundering to be like, we're going to give 1% of our profits to this thing where our guy is on the board. Interesting. Blake had an off day and you're not allowed to have off days as a woman. Nope, not even if you're pregnant and somebody comments on your body right off the bat, first thing before anything else. Fuck. Okay. Also, Cole said the reason why he signed up to do the movie is because Baldoni knows a lot about CF, whatever that means. It's so weird. Okay, I'm having a lot of fun streaming and researching, even though I'm talking about something so incredibly frustrating. But I need to run some errands while the rain has stopped for a little bit. So I think I am actually going to pack this stream in for a little bit, but if anybody has anything that you want to look at, like maybe even just in a couple of hours, I might stream again. So if you want to comment once the video on demand is up rather than the live, we can go over things together later, because I have not looked very much into what's going on with like court updates. I know that there are some posts about that in the Reddit as well that we could look into if you're interested in. But if I'm being so honest, I have therapy tomorrow, and if I have to tell my therapist that I never got around to getting groceries, I'm gonna feel embarrassed. So I would like to do groceries and cook for myself so that I can tell my therapist that I did that. So for that reason, I will be out for a little bit. But if there's anything that you want me to talk about on a stream later on tonight, I would like to stream later tonight because I'm feeling pretty good, and that sounds like fun. So thank you so much to everybody who did pop up. And thank you for coming on this wild ride with me about the terrible, terrible promotional for the movie that he stole. I think that is helpful, and I think that's going to be a next, a soon update, is as another video being like, hey, this whole thing isn't actually about Blake's terrible marketing for It Ends With Us, but the marketing was Justin's fault, and we can tell it was Justin's fault because here's another movie he marketed terribly. Awesome. All right. Absolutely. Yes. I gotta get some groceries, of course. Thank you so much to everybody who came up, and yeah, I'll be back later tonight, or I'll post on Blue Sky or something. But thank you so much for hanging out. I love you.